On February 24, 1978, 5 men from Yuba City drove to Chico for a basketball game. Then their car was found 4 days later on a snowy mountain road far from the route home. That is the first evidence payoff. The Yuba County Five case is not mysterious because they vanished from nowhere. It is mysterious because the route makes no sense. Jack Madruga, Jack Hewitt, Ted Weiher, Bill Sterling, and Gary Mathias were expected back home that night. Instead, the car was later found in the Plumas National Forest area, unlocked, with no obvious mechanical reason it could not have turned around. 4 men were later found dead. Gary Mathias was never found. The case remains unresolved because every theory has to explain the same hard problem: why leave a working car on a winter road? The men had gone to watch a college basketball game in Chico. After the game, they reportedly stopped at a market for snacks. That detail matters because it anchors the timeline after the game and before the mountain. The next confirmed object is the car. Not a note. Not a phone call. Not a confession. The car. It creates the central contradiction. A familiar trip home should have taken them south toward Yuba City. But the vehicle was found northeast, in the mountains, in winter conditions. This is where the evidence board approach matters. We follow what is documented, then mark the gaps honestly. The car was found on February 28, 1978, on a remote road in snow country. Reports describe it as stuck or positioned in snow, but not destroyed. The fuel was not empty. The keys were gone. The car was unlocked. And investigators later questioned whether the vehicle could have been moved if someone had tried. This is why the car is the strongest clue. If it was truly disabled, leaving it makes sense. If it was usable, leaving it is the mystery. But we should avoid pretending certainty where the scene record is messy. Confirmed, the car was found far off the expected route. Unresolved, why it ended up there. The mountain environment matters as much as the vehicle. Cold, snow, darkness, unfamiliar roads, and panic can turn one wrong decision into a survival crisis. But the distance is also hard to understand. The group had to end up on a remote road not normally associated with their drive home. That raises several possibilities. A wrong turn. Following someone. Avoiding something. Confusion. Or a decision we still do not understand. The ethical rule is simple: possibilities are not proof. This case has real families behind it, so every theory must stay labeled as theory. Months later, a Forest Service trailer became the second major evidence scene. Ted Weiher was found there. Reports described food, heating fuel, and supplies nearby, creating one of the case's most painful questions. Why did available resources not save him? The details are debated and sometimes retold inconsistently, but the broad contradiction remains. A shelter existed. Supplies existed. Yet survival failed. This does not mean we should judge the men from a warm room decades later. Hypothermia, fear, injury, cognitive stress, darkness, and unfamiliar equipment can destroy decision-making. The trailer is not just a clue. It is a reminder that survival situations make people less rational, not more. In June 1978, searchers found the remains of 4 of the 5 men in the mountain area. Ted Weiher was found in the trailer. Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found along the road area. Jack Hewitt was later identified from remains nearby. Gary Mathias was not found. The respectful way to cover this case is to keep names attached. They were not characters in a puzzle. They were people with families, routines, plans, and a game they were excited to watch. The mystery should never erase that. Gary Mathias remains the central unresolved absence. He was reportedly with the group that night, and he was not found with the others. Some theories focus on him because he had a documented mental health history. That fact must be handled carefully. Mental health history is not evidence of wrongdoing. It does not make someone responsible for a tragedy. It may be relevant to vulnerability, medication, stress, or group dynamics, but it cannot be used as a shortcut explanation. Confirmed, Gary Mathias was never found. Disputed, any theory that treats him as the cause without evidence. The absence is a fact. The meaning of that absence is still unknown. The common theories fall into a few categories. They got lost. They followed someone. They were forced or frightened. They had a medical or psychological crisis. They encountered another person. They made one bad decision that compounded into many. Each theory explains something and fails somewhere else. The lost theory explains confusion but not every route choice. The foul play theory explains fear but lacks a proven perpetrator. The crisis theory explains poor decisions but not the full chain. That is why this case persists. No theory comfortably carries all the evidence. What evidence would actually change the case? A confirmed witness account from that night. A reliable explanation for why the car turned toward the mountains. A recovered key item belonging to Gary Mathias. A stronger reconstruction of the vehicle scene, or a document that resolves what happened between the market stop and the mountain road. The case does not need louder speculation. It needs a clearer chain. Until then, the honest answer remains uncomfortable. The men left a trail of facts. But not enough to explain the decision that doomed them. So what is the Yuba County Five case? Confirmed, 5 men attended a basketball game in Chico on February 24, 1978. Confirmed, their car was found 4 days later on a snowy mountain road far from the expected route home. Confirmed, 4 men were later found dead. Confirmed, Gary Mathias remains missing. Unresolved, why they drove into the mountains, why they left the car, and what happened in the hours after. Disputed, any theory that accuses a person without evidence. The most responsible conclusion is not a neat ending. It is a map of unanswered decisions. If you could re-examine one clue from the Yuba County 5 case, what would you test first? The route from Chico, the car scene, the weather and snow conditions, the trailer supplies, or the search area for Gary Mathias? Tell me which evidence would matter most, and keep the comments respectful for the families behind this case. First, the route contradiction. Second, the survival contradiction. Third, the missing 5th man. But popularity creates risk. When a case becomes internet content, people can start treating real lives like clues in a game. This episode should do the opposite. It should make the evidence clearer and the speculation quieter. The mystery is strong enough without inventing villains. The names, the road, the car, the trailer, the weather, and the missing answers are already enough. What evidence would actually change the case? A confirmed witness account from that night. A reliable explanation for why the car turned toward the mountains. A recovered key item belonging to Gary Mathias. A stronger reconstruction of the vehicle scene. Or a document that resolves what happened between the market stop and the mountain road. The case does not need louder speculation. It needs a clearer chain. Until then, the honest answer remains uncomfortable. The men left a trail of facts, but not enough to explain the decision that doomed them. So what is the Yuba County 5 case? Confirmed, 5 men attended a basketball game in Chico on February 24, 1978. Confirmed, their car was found 4 days later on a snowy mountain road far from the expected route home. Confirmed, 4 men were later found dead. Confirmed, Gary Mathias remains missing. Unresolved, why they drove into the mountains, why they left the car, and what happened in the hours after. Disputed, any theory that accuses a person without evidence. The most responsible conclusion is not a neat ending. It is a map of unanswered decisions. If you could re-examine one clue from the Yuba County 5 case, what would you test first? The route from Chico, the car scene, the weather and snow conditions, the trailer supplies, or the search area for Gary Mathias? Tell me which evidence would matter most, and keep the comments respectful for the families behind this case.